do it with intensity or not at all.
Check. Welcome to the Intensity Podcast. I'm your host, Hans the Hammer Hartleben. And if you've been following along of late, you would know that we just got back from the Grand Canyon rim to rim 1 day excursion, which means we went from the north rim to the south rim, 24 and a half miles. No camping gear, because people do this in, you could do this in a few days. Take your stuff, make some fun out of it. We did this for different reasons. We did this as a company excursion, team building. We had our front line of our HQ staff, owners, directors, and we just did this. And if you've been following along, you would have known that two people in our group we got separated from, they were stuck at the bottom of the canyon, 120 degrees at the bottom, the place you don't want to be stuck at. They were there. And today I have Kevin Peters with us. He made it out, him and Stacy, and literally he just walked in the studio. Like, we didn't even say hi to each other, just wanted to sit down and figure out, because up until this point, we have not sat down at all. I heard bits and pieces at work yesterday, so there's people around. It was kind of, an impromptu type of thing. So I'm looking forward to hearing the details. And again, if you know this hike, I think this is going to be really interesting with the trails and everything else. But I'm going to try to pick up where we left off. So not to rehearse the whole thing. So picking right up where we left off with Kevin and Stacy, South Kaibab Trail, we're hiking out. Okay, that's the plan. We just got stopped by the rangers and got put on ice basically for 5 hours, which I wish we got put on ice.
Yeah, right.
Literally. A miserable time, took a lot of energy out of us. Some people got a little bit of sleep, but we're heading out now, and this is a steep motherfucker. Okay, this is the South Kaibab Trail, all exposed, and Stacy is not fantastic with heights. A little better than me, maybe. That's about it. And they were heading up, and we heard Kevin. I couldn't look, so the rest of the team had to tell me. Kevin was waving, "Hey, we're out," right?
Yep.
Like, "Hey guys," letting them know, because we're all forward, marching forward. She's done, and then they said they saw the park ranger was there pretty quick. Can you just take it from here now?
Yeah. So basically, what happened was when we started up South Kaibab, we were probably a quarter mile up. We weren't that far up, and Stacy she stopped, and she was like clinging to a rock on the side of the trail. And I looked at her, and when I looked at her, it was like I wasn't looking at her. Like, she was looking back at me, but not really. Oh. So I knew something was going on. She was sitting down, clinging to a rock, and she was just shaking, really super bad. So I knew something was wrong, and that's when I was like, okay, we need to stop. So I dropped my pack, and I want to say I ran, but obviously I wasn't running. I was moving as fast as I could to catch up to you guys. And then as soon as I seen you, you were like, I want to say like 2 switchbacks ahead of us.
Okay.
As soon as I seen you, I just screamed as loud as I could, and I was kind of like motioning like, she's done, we're going down. And as soon as I realized that you guys got that message, then I went back down to Stacy. Cell phones don't work down there, obviously, but it is really neat. You at least have the capability of getting on the satellite. That Pi had mentioned that. So we used Stacy's phone linked up on the satellite, and did an SOS.
The actual, so like on an iPhone, I see that SOS button come up. You use that.
Yeah, we used the SOS option, and that connected us to the ranger station. Now, we didn't realize what ranger station it was. We thought it was Phantom Ranch. And so the ranger station was basically asking, like, what's going on? We're explaining to them, like, you know, hey, not doing well. Stacy was having heart problems. She couldn't breathe. She was shaking. So they had basically asked us two things. One, could we make it to tip-off? And I knew we were a long ways from tip-off. I didn't know exactly how far. I got the map out. I'm like, no, there's no way. We were closer to the bottom. So then they asked if we could make it back to Phantom Ranch. So I'm like, okay, yep, we can make it back to Phantom Ranch. And then they explained, the exact message said, if you make it back to Phantom Ranch, we'll get you out, is what they said. So I'm like, okay, you know, I told Stacy, I'm like, I'll grab your pack. So I double packed it. I had my pack and her pack. So all she had was just her body weight and her sticks, her walking sticks.
Okay.
And we made it back down. You know, we had to go across that fucking bridge across the Colorado River.
Oh, I won't forget that bridge.
That was very rough for her.
That bridge, that crossing that back was rough.
Yeah.
Because I thought she did really well coming forward.
Yeah. On the way back, I mean, it was literally like 6 inches at a time because she was really unstable.
What was her biggest, right at that point, because I really just want to feel this. You mentioned her heart problem. I mean, you mentioned shaking. What do you think the biggest thing that got her right there? Like what
I
physically,
think she explained that she was having like heart problems. Like, so I think she was in distress as far as like, she didn't feel like she was going to make it. Like she was exhausted.
Like cardiac arrest type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because of that incline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we felt it.
Yeah.
We felt
and
it.
the altitude hit so fast. Even though we weren't that far up, the altitude hit like really super fast for her. So we made it. Wow. The rough part was we walked, because we were told to go to Phantom Ranch. So we walked down across the bridge. We walked past the ranger station, which is right after the bridge.
Yep.
And then we made it back to Phantom Ranch. Then when we got back to Phantom Ranch, the people there said, no, you got to go to the ranger station. So then we had to walk all the way back to almost the bridge to get to the ranger station.
That's a long walk, by the way.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. Like just that's
right. The ranger station was kind of like where we rested in the river.
Yep.
You know, for that 5 hours. So it's a pretty healthy walk.
Oh yeah.
Back to.
Isn't that about where they stopped us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right there?
Yep.
Okay.
So then we made it back to the ranger station now. So we're backtracking.
This is extra exertion that she didn't need.
That she didn't have. So we made it back. We made it to the ranger station. The ranger, we met with 2 different people. One was a ranger. The other one, I'm assuming, was some kind of medic or something. They took her vitals.
What color shirt did he have on?
Gray.
It was a gray like the rest of them?
No, he had like a gray polo.
Gray polo, okay.
Yeah. They took her vitals. They said she was looking okay. Her blood pressure was high. I don't remember what they said it was. They sat her down. They gave her some ramen noodles. They basically informed us at that time that she wasn't deemed a medical rescue.
Okay.
And they told both of us, they're like, you're going to have to walk out. So we went from thinking, okay, we're getting help out.
Yeah.
And feeling some kind of relief to now just like a kick in the nuts.
Oh, God.
And like, you got to walk out. So instantly I'm thinking like, when and how are we going to do this? Because it was, I want to say that was like 6 p.m., something like that. By the time we got back down there, did the backtracking. It was like 6 or 6:30 at night. And now we're like, okay, we got to do this again. And now I'm worried about
when.
And I'm immediately taking like inventory of our supplies, and it's like we have no food, Our headlamps are shaky at best.
Oh my God.
We had a little bit of charge left in our battery supplies, our quick chargers, luckily. So what we decided to do was, before that, they gave us one phone call. They had a landline down there, and they're like, you can call somebody.
This is like prison.
Right. Yeah, basically.
I don't get it, but yeah, I'm just learning about all this.
Yep.
And
They gave us one phone call. So we called our daughter, Kayla, and
it's real, guys. A lot of you guys on the outside just, okay, you did a hike and it was hard and it was hot. We're trying to explain the best we can of what we were in. And it's still not going to show up, but we're trying.
that was hard. I called Kayla. To be honest with you, like I don't even remember like what freaking day it was. And I called her. It was Saturday, right? So
That was Saturday?
was it?
Yeah, probably.
Friday.
Well, I don't know. We left.
can't-
It's Saturday-ish.
So I called her. I got no answer. I called our son-in-law Jordan. I got no answer. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sneak another phone call in.
Well, they're not looking.
So I called Kayla again, left her a message. Then she actually called back. The ranger took the phone and then came back, and
It was their phone.
it was their phone.
Okay, a cell phone?
Yeah, no, it was a
Oh,
landline.
that's right. You said that.
Yeah. The ranger came back out and said, I have your daughter on the line. I'm like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
And not remembering what day it was, she was actually at a concert in the Dells, and she left the concert to call back, and I was able to tell her like what was going on, where we were. She obviously was hysterical. She's freaking out.
Yeah, because there's no nice way to say.
Right.
If you say, "Hey, don't worry," right off the.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
what do you say? What did you say?
And that's kind of like what I told her. I'm like, hey, we're just, mom had some problems. We're gonna rest down here for a little bit, and then we're gonna head back up. We're okay.
But if you know Kevin Peters, you know that he doesn't blow things out of. So everything's cool with Kevin. Like literally, the next day after his total knee replacement, how you doing? Great.
Yeah.
And that's because he. In my opinion, you don't want to burden other people
Right.
with what you have going on. That's part of you, what makes you. And I'm sure with your daughter, I'm not trying to speak for you. I'm just trying to get that's the last thing he wanted to do
Yeah.
is scare his own daughter
Right.
with his medical or health
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah. And I knew like I was freaking out. And I didn't want to freak Stacy out because she was not in a good place. And I didn't want, if Kayla freaked out, then I would have freaked out. Then it would have just would have just roller coastered from there. But I basically told her, hey, we're doing okay. Mom just had some problems making it out, so we're gonna rest and then we're gonna head out.
And what'd she say? Like, what do you mean? What kind of problems?
Yeah, it was a short conversation.
Okay.
But she talked about like a helicopter and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, no, we got to walk out.
I don't get the helicopter thing. I
Yeah.
gotta say, I mean, okay, it comes with a hefty bill, right? There's rescue. Anytime the fire department, the EMS has to show up, and there's something involved that comes with a bill. They're not doing this for free. We don't expect
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, she wasn't physically able to leave.
No. And I even asked the ranger, I'm like, what would it take to get a chopper out of here? And they told me right out, like, it's not. You have to be considered a real life emergency. Life and limb emergency is what they called it.
But why wait that long?
Right.
Like, she's going down.
Yep.
You guys are stuck down there.
Yep.
And the guy's down there. I can't say it enough. Phantom Ranch at the bottom, things don't get better.
No. So I think the longer you're down there, the worse you're off. Like, even like when we rested for that 5 hours, I don't think that I think that did more harm than good.
Yep, me too.
I really do.
Yeah.
I even asked the ranger about a donkey. I'm like, I noticed there's donkey shit every 5 steps
yeah.
you walk down here. I'm like, I want to buy a donkey. Like literally,
Yeah.
I will buy a freaking donkey
Yeah,
to get her
absolutely.
out. I will walk, but bring a donkey
That's
down
a
here
good. I didn't think of that.
and get her out of here, you know. But they wouldn't do it. So we they brought out 2 sleeping bags, and because they said the cabins are full, they gave us the option. You can either sleep at the campsite by the river, or you can sleep on the porch at the ranger station. So we're like, okay, let's just sleep on the porch at the ranger station. So that's what we did. They brought out 2 sleeping bags. And it's 110 degrees. Who needs a sleeping bag?
Oh my! Just to cover yourself from.
Yeah. But we were able to lay down. Stacy got, I'd say probably 2 hours of sleep.
She was able to sleep.
She was out like right away.
Oh wow!
Which I was actually concerned about because
Yeah.
I don't know if sleeping's necessarily
Hey,
right.
you still.
Yeah. So
I don't. I wouldn't. That's a good point.
It's kind of like I think I immediately thought of like when you get a concussion, like the last thing you want to do is
Yeah.
fall
Yeah.
asleep. They tell you that, like.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I felt very nervous for her going to sleep.
Absolutely. Wow.
But she had we got some electrolytes in her. She had her ramen, so she got some carbs, and she took a little nap, probably about 2 hours.
Okay.
So by this time it was probably like 10 p.m., something like that. She was getting eaten alive by ants on this porch. I fell asleep for, I want to say it was like a half an hour, and I woke up. There was a lizard on my face.
Are you freaking kidding me?
No, it was just a little one. It was a little, just a little. It was like a little gecko or something. But
My God!
I kinda
this
like-
just doesn't.
I felt something
You
on my
just
face.
can't make this shit up, man.
So I kind of I went like this, and then I actually grabbed it, and I'm like, fucking lizard.
It probably didn't even affect you.
It woke me up. Like my nap was over.
Oh.
So I got up. I charged our headlamps. We had a little bit of charge left on we had like 14% charge on our batteries. So I got
on the which battery? On the lamps themselves or the pocket juice things? I
the
keep calling
pocket.
it that.
Yep, the pocket juice.
Okay. That ain't much.
Our headlamps were working, so I didn't know how dead they were.
It's 10 p.m.
So I just wanted to plug them in. Our plan was to leave at 11.
And how? What was? I just don't know what could have been going through your mind at that point because you just tried. You didn't even make it, and she almost collapsed.
I knew we had to get out, and I knew we were walking. I didn't want to, and I kind of had an idea which way we were going out. I can get into that later, but
Yeah.
we had to start at night because I knew this was going to take a long, long time.
And that
to get
sun, that heat took a lot out of her right
Right.
off the bat.
Yep.
That was horrific.
out. Yeah. So I plugged our headlamps in. We were going to leave at 11. I waited for our headlamps to charge. By the time they were charged, it was like 12:30. By the time our headlamps were charged,
So you're still at Phantom at 12:30
we're still
now.
at the ranger station. yeah.
Ranger Station.
So it was like 12:30. So then I woke her up, and we got our packs ready. We left our packs at the ranger station. We walked to Phantom Ranch. We went to the bathroom.
Which is a long walk.
Which is a long
again,
walk. Yep.
right?
Yep. But no packs on. So it was just a nice, easy, not easy, but slow walk back to Phantom Ranch. Went to the bathroom, filled up our water bladders, and we had the 2 water bottles, filled those up because I knew this was it for water.
Okay, how much water exactly did you have again each?
So we each had 4 liters. We had a 3-liter bladder, and we had a 1-liter bottle. So we filled those up. And initially, the night before, the ranger told us not to leave until morning because they wanted us to eat something at Phantom Ranch.
Okay.
Before we left.
Okay.
I made the decision like, no, we're not waiting, because I kind of like, what's a bigger risk, getting the calories or leaving when it's 100 degrees?
Yeah.
So my decision was we're gonna leave at night, and we're not gonna wait for the calories, and we're gonna get the fuck out of here. So we charged our headlamps. We went back to Phantom Ranch, got water, went back to the ranger station, grabbed our packs, and we headed out. And by that time, it was about 2:15 a.m. when we headed out. And
Is she feeling any better? Sorry.
She's, I think so.
You saw a little difference from now we're talking from when you got down there at six to, okay.
I think because she, like I said, she got like a 2 or 3 hour nap. So I think she felt not recovered, but she felt rested.
Okay.
And she knew, and I explained to her, like, we're taking our time. Like, I don't care if this takes us 2 more fucking days.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get out
exactly.
of here.
What was she, when you were talking to her, how was she responding? I mean,
I could tell she was still nervous. I could tell she still had like a lot of doubt whether or not we were going to get out on our own. And it was plus it was like, we didn't know what up looked like.
That's the biggest thing.
We heard everybody talking about it, and we knew it was going to be rough. But we didn't know. You know what I mean?
The fear, false evidence appearing real, or real evidence in this case, it was.
Yeah. So we started on our way back up, had to cross that freaking bridge again at night.
At about 2 a.m. ish.
By the time we left the ranger station at 2:15. By the time we got to the bridge, it was like 2:45 ish. That took a while to get her across the bridge. She did really good. It was just like super slow.
It was.
She wanted me to go in front of her.
That was surprising though, but I get it now.
Feet.
Yeah. You have to have a target.
Yeah. Yeah. She, because on the way down, I was behind her. Because I thought like that would work better. On the way down the north side, I was behind her, and
kind of keeping her boxed in,
right?
You think, right?
Yeah.
Protecting.
I didn't want to let her behind me because I can't see her.
Yeah.
I needed to see her.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
But now looking back, like I should have been in front of her. Honestly.
Coming down.
Yeah. I think it would have been quicker.
Isn't
and
that something
for
how
her.
you figure that out on the trail?
Yeah. I don't remember what time we got to the tip-off. The sun was out.
And getting the tip-off, guys, I heard that. I got Pi said she got a text from you or satellite. I'm still kind of out of it, so I'm just getting stuff. I haven't even looked at my phone. Tip-off is a huge deal. I mean, that to me was like, that's where we made the decision to keep going up, because tip-off was such a big deal.
Yeah.
For them to make it to tip-off was like, I'm going to be honest with you, was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
They're going to do this. And I'm going to shoot you straight. You know how Pi was reacting when you said, hey, we're going to do this again. The first thing I hear when I wake up, they're trying again. I'm like, you can't. She's like, no, they can't. They can't try this again. You literally had zero other options, zero.
Yeah.
And to make it to tip off, that cutoff, I thought that was one of the most, it was like getting goosebumps. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how was that up there? I don't want to lose that part. Like
getting to tip off?
Getting to tip off.
It was rough because those switchbacks were pretty intense.
And it was at night, so it was dark still.
It was at night.
Is that any better than for her?
I think it was.
It was better for me.
I think it was. Having me in front of her and being at night, I think helps.
Okay.
It was still incredibly slow, but But like I said,
But steady.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't stop much on the way from the river to tip off. We didn't stop much at all.
That had to feel pretty.
But that still took, I want to say, like 5 hours.
That took about 5 hours. Okay.
I think something like that.
That makes sense. I can see that for sure.
Because the sun was up, and the sun came up at the sun was well up. So it was like probably 9, 10 o'clock, something like that. Excuse me. We stayed at tip-off for, I want to say, like a half an hour.
In the pavilion?
Yep. We didn't rest there long. It was about a half an hour. She went to the bathroom. There was no water at tip-off, which really sucked. Because then we had to make the decision, are we going up South Kaibab or are we going on West Tonto Trail? And I remember the message I got from Pi had said that South Kaibab was like super intense, steep. And we knew going on Tonto was adding like 4 miles.
There is no good answer or alternative. There's no way to beat that.
And I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like, okay, if we take Tonto, we're going to be in the heat almost the entire way.
Yeah. You're 9 a.m. at tip off, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you're talking about hours.
Yeah.
On Tonto.
So we're like, okay, do we go up South Kaibab with no water, or do we go on Tonto? Because then when you hit Indian Gardens, the campground.
I never saw it, but
we knew there was water there, and then there's water at 3 Mile, and then mile and a half.
That was what was intriguing to us.
Yeah. So we knew there was water.
Because once you're out of water, it's over.
Right.
And then now you're talking about a medical evac. Because it's, even if you could get someone, who knows at this time?
Yeah. And what we were doing was I was drinking her water on the way up to tip off, because I was trying to lighten her pack. So like she was drinking her water, and then I was taking like little sips out of her water, and keeping my water packs full. Just because, water weighs a lot, so I'm trying to like lighten her pack a little bit. So we made the decision to go on Tonto, and Tonto Trail is 16 inches wide.
No shit.
And it's full of rocks. It's just
like loose rocks,
big rocks. It's not like you would think a nice trail.
Okay.
It's not very pleasant. And some of the drop-offs on Tonto were really severe, to where the path went from like 16, 14 inches down to like 6 inches.
People aren't talking about that.
Yeah, there was some pretty brutal drops, and she wasn't walking on the path. She was walking on the inside of the path, where there was like loose, kind of like where the cliff met the path.
She's trying to stay closer to the cliff, the rock.
Yep.
I know that trick.
So
but it's harder.
But it's a lot harder, and it's not safe, because I'm trying to explain to her, like, you need to walk on the path where people are walking.
Easier said than done, though. Your body doesn't want to go over there.
Yep, and I get it. And and then we get lost on Tonto. We were probably 3-4 hours into Tonto, and the trail just ended. And we're like, okay, where do we go?
Like this, is this even happening?
Right.
Like, is this fucking happening?
The trail literally ended. It met like a little, where it looked like a stream was.
So did you think that you maybe went too far?
We didn't know.
Because that's like hell on earth.
We didn't know what the hell to think, because like literally the trail ended, and like we saw nobody. There was a couple people that passed us on Tonto.
Okay.
But then, I mean, they were long gone. And then the trail ended, and we're like, okay, what did we do wrong? Right.
Yeah.
So we backtracked about, I would say about a half a mile on the trail, because I'm like, maybe there's a split that we missed or something.
Yep.
Nope. Like, okay, half a mile. let's go back. We went back.
So now you're wasting, because it's long enough, this trail.
Right, yep.
This is 12. That route that he's talking about is 11.5 miles, correct?
Yeah. It's actually a little longer than that because I'll get to that.
Okay.
But, so the trail ended. We backtracked a half a mile. Then we came back. And I told Stacy, I'm like, I'm just going to have to like cut through this brush or whatever it was and see if I can find a trail. Like, I have no idea where we're going.
She's going to stay put.
She stayed put. So I cut through these trees and this brush, these rocks, and I found what looked like the start of a trail. And I called for her. I'm like, hey, get up here. So she came up, and then we started walking on this little.
You're guessing, though.
We were 100% guessing. We started walking on this little trail, and then it just kind of opened up a little bit. And then I was like, that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, this is a trail.
Okay.
Still didn't know if we were going in the right way.
Right.
We just stayed on it. And then about, I don't know, maybe an hour or two later, we saw a person. It was actually an older woman, a Native American woman, that she was there with her 4 grandkids. And they do rim to rim, I think she said once a year, but they do it in 4 days.
Okay.
They do all the camping that's down there.
Okay.
And we had asked her, like, are we close?
Yeah, give us some information.
And what do you think she said?
Oh, yeah, you're close. 2 miles.
2 miles.
Oh, my
Yep.
God. You can't.
2 miles. Yeah, you're
Seriously?
Yeah,
2 miles from where? To where?
to
the end?
Indian Gardens.
Oh, to Indian Gardens. Okay,
Yeah.
From Tonto still to
Still
Indian
on
Gardens.
Tonto,
Okay,
yeah.
you're 2 miles.
2
yet.
miles to Indian Gardens, and she's like,
That's where the water is, guys.
Yep. And she's like, you're gonna know it when you see it because
Okay.
there's a big, beautiful tree.
Oh, okay,
So
God, this is like a movie, man.
We're waiting for this tree, right? The whole time we're on Tano, we're constantly seeing helicopters all day long,
Okay.
doing rescues, whatever they're doing. But helicopters were out the entire day. I don't think we went an hour without seeing a helicopter.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of like, man, we just wave one of them down,
Anything. Yeah, absolutely. You start thinking those
yeah.
things real easy.
Yep. But we ended up making it to Indian Gardens. I can't tell you what time it was. I'm not exactly sure. But we made it to Indian Gardens. There was a beautiful tree there.
There was.
Their campground consisted of a tree, and there was.
I believe that.
I think there was 2 picnic tables under the tree, and they had water.
In a spigot.
Yep. So we got water. We drank all the water we had, and then got fresh water. Laid down for a little bit. I don't think either one of us, we didn't sleep, but we rested for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, maybe closer to 3 hours. We talked to the ranger there, and we talked to a couple other people that were there resting.
What was the ranger doing there?
I really
Are
don't
these
know.
people following you?
I don't. It was. They all knew who we were. 100%. They knew who we were. Are you the couple? We kept hearing it. Not only from rangers, but from other hikers.
Okay.
Are you the couple that got separated from your group and spent the night on the porch? Is what
The rumor gets out.
Yeah, that's what they kept asking. They're like, yep, we're.
Because this
we're
is
that
like the
couple.
olden days, right? There's no cell phone. We're so accustomed to cell phone communication.
Yeah.
This was real. Like every person you pass, you try to get information and you speak to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. We're the couple.
We were the couple that spent the night on the porch. But yeah, we rested there, and it was at that time that I was like, okay, we need to take inventory of what we have. Our headlamps were still good from the night before, and I knew it was going to be cutting it close to getting out by dark.
What is this? 4 o'clock? You think?
I'm
I'm just trying to keep a little bit of a timeline.
That was. I think that was about 3.
Okay. Just
somewhere.
roughly.
I think it was about 3 o'clock
At Garden.
at Indian Gardens when we were getting ready to leave Indian Gardens. we took inventory of, and I actually wrote it down.
Awesome.
We each had, not each, total, we had 2 fruit jerkies, we had 1 beef stick, we had 1 stinger waffle, and we had a cookie that we had purchased the night before when we got the pizza.
The deli.
Stacy, I bought, and she didn't want it, but we bought it, and then we put it in the bag.
Coming into play.
And when we added it up, we had 900 calories is what we had. So 450 calories each.
For how long, you still have no idea.
Right. Yep. And we knew we had to still go, we had to make it to 3 Mile. We didn't know how long that was. I think that was a mile and a half. Yeah, it was a mile and a half to 3 Mile. And then it's every half.
Which is a couple hours, right? I mean, at least.
We were, so when we left Indian Gardens campground, that's when I really started watching my watch to see how long it was taking us.
Okay.
And it was taking us about an hour and 15 minutes to go a half a mile.
Okay, a half a mile. Okay.
So then I was like playing it out in my head, like, okay, because my plan was, my goal was, I go into everything with a goal, right?
Yeah.
My goal was to make it out by 8.
Okay.
And I knew we were cutting it close at the rate we were going. But I also knew we couldn't go any faster.
Okay.
So 8 p.m. was the goal. We left Indian Gardens. We ate a little bit. I think we split the stinger waffle and we split the beef stick at Indian Gardens. We got down as much water as we could. Yep. Then we loaded up. And everybody told us, you don't need to carry much water because there's, in another mile and a half, there's water. But I told Stacy, I'm like, no, we're loading up because this is taking us a lot longer than it takes other people.
That's true.
So we loaded up with water again. And same thing, I was drinking out of her pack. That's when the elevation like hit.
Okay.
When we left Indian Gardens, the trails were like straight up.
They were.
The nice thing about that trail is called
Bright Angel.
Bright Angel. The nice thing about Bright Angel Trail is I think they're wider than South Kaibab, like what you guys went on. And there's like a little rock, not wall, but like literally like a rock path on the outside of the trail. So there's separation from the trail to
At least
the
visually
cliff.
to give you something.
I think that helped Stacy a lot.
It helped me.
It made her feel safer and like a little bit more secure.
It does a lot. It
to
does.
where she didn't have to hug the cliff like that.
Exactly. Not like those rocks would do anything.
Right.
You'd probably trip on them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they did something.
Yep. But the incline was so bad that they had those step overs.
Yeah.
That were like either logs or rocks. The step overs
for the water.
Right.
To divert the water.
Those
were hurdles.
The step overs for her, there was some of them where she had to literally like sit and like then swing her legs over.
They're tall.
She couldn't physically like step over.
Her legs were.
Her legs. She's only 5'2".
Yeah. So right there.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So she really struggled with that. Took a lot of energy out of her.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, a ton. There was at one point where I was like on my feet and hands, like bear crawling up because it was so steep.
Wow.
But we finally made it to 3 Mile. And
3, that means 3 miles from the end.
3 miles from the end. Yep.
From the south rim.
Yep. We finally made it to 3 Mile. There was water. There was a little shelter there. And that's where we met Neil. Neil is a 73-year-old volunteer ranger. This guy does this for free. Retired guy. I wish I could remember his last name. But 73 years old, retired school teacher. And every day he walks from the south down Bright Angel to 3 Mile, and he basically sits there for 3, 4, 5 hours and just helps people.
Wow.
You know, and he was looking at us, specifically Stacy, and he was like, and he asked us, he's like, "Are you the couple that spent the night on the porch?" And we're like, "Yep." And he's like, "I've been waiting for you guys all day."
Dude's excited.
He was excited to see us.
This is what he does.
And he immediately said, "What do you have for electrolytes? What do you have for food?" So we showed him our electrolytes, we showed him our food, and he said, "You're not going to make it out with what you have."
Oh, God.
They have like a survival box at 3 Mile. It's just like a metal army box.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a padlock on it. So he opened it up, and it's just full of snacks.
No shit.
Doritos and Fritos and all kinds of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So he's like, "What do you guys want?" And I knew I had to eat, but I didn't want to eat. It was one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Like Stacy had, I think he gave her some Cheez-Its and some peanut butter crackers. She gave me I think 2 of her peanut butter crackers, and then he gave me a little bag of like airline pretzels.
Yeah.
And I ate those. And then we finished. We still had the cookie and the fruit jerky, the fruit jerkies. We ate those. And he was basically like, "Okay, I'm following you guys up."
That's pretty much all your food then.
We were out
Okay.
when we left 3 Mile.
Okay.
We rested at 3 Mile for probably a half hour, 20 minutes, half hour.
Okay.
And that was it. We were done with food.
Is this in your mind? This is the last push? I mean, it's a long push. 3 miles is a fucking shit ton.
I knew we still had a rest at 1.5 miles.
Okay.
And I knew like that was going to be the push.
Okay.
Right there.
Did they have a? I don't want to skip ahead.
So and I asked him like, "How bad is it like the rest of the way?" And he said, "I'm not going to lie to you, like it's bad." But he said the last 1/4 mile is super easy. So I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
All we got to do is make it, another 2 3/4 miles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You start doing the
and
math.
we're home free. But then I'm also doing the math like, okay, it's taking us an hour to go
Half
a mile. So how long is this going to take us? So we left, and he stayed at 3 Mile, and he's like, I'll be behind you guys. So okay. So and there was some other people at 3 Mile that he stayed to talk to. So we left 3 Mile, and we were going very slow. I counted my steps, and I was taking 20 steps, and then I needed to rest. Like I at this point, I think she
started catching up with you.
I think she actually had more energy than I did.
Well, you're doing the work mentally for 2, and physically a lot of that with carrying the water and such. And
yeah, I think I was so depleted, as far as calories were concerned, because at this point we were 15 hours, and we didn't eat anything since the night before.
You're talking 15 hours of moving.
Yeah, except with the exception
Going
of the
up.
rest that we
And going
had.
up.
Yeah. So we kept going. I couldn't sit down. So I was taking I was taking exactly 20 steps. I was counting them out, and then I would
Gives you something to do too.
Yep. I would lean forward and rest on my
Sticks.
sticks.
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
Because I did sit down once, and when I stood up,
It's
I
brutal.
almost fell back over the cliff. Because I got super lightheaded.
This shit happens.
So I was like, okay, I'm not sitting down anymore.
No.
So I was taking 20 steps and then leaning over on my sticks to rest
Yep.
for 30 seconds, and then 20 more steps, rest for 30. And that's
Okay.
what we were doing
Okay.
the whole way up.
Was she doing the same thing
Yeah,
then too?
She was doing exactly the same. We were doing exactly the same thing together. And we made it up to 1.5 miles. and Neil, he was still behind us. There was a couple times like he caught up to us.
Okay.
And then he
Making
went,
sure.
and then, he caught up to us, and then he took a break on a rock, and then let us go. And
He
then
knows
caught
what
up.
he's doing.
Right. It was like he caught up, made sure we're okay, and then rested. Then caught up, made sure we were okay, and then rested. He did that probably 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
On the way up. So we got up to 1.5 miles before him, and 1.5 miles had, I know this now, but at the time we didn't. 2 different areas. One had the water, and one had the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
And when we got to 1.5 miles, we went to what we thought was the water spot, but it ended up being the bathroom. So it's like, okay, Stacy went to the bathroom. They had a water spigot there, but it was like the pump. You open the lever.
Okay.
And there was no sign on it that said potable water.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not drinking this. Like,
No.
I don't know if it's safe. So we used that water to like wet everything.
Was it cold?
No, it was warm. It was warm water.
Okay.
All the water going up was warm.
It was. Okay.
At 3 Mile was warm. At Indian Gardens was warm. So I didn't want to drink the water because I'm like, I didn't fucking make it this far.
It can still take you out.
to get taken out by water. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't going to happen. But we did wet everything. It wasn't, the sun was starting to go down, so it wasn't hot at all.
You made it through that.
Yeah, we made it through the heat. But I was feeling not good. There was a couple moments where I was just like, we ain't gonna make it.
You still were thinking, it's hard for people to probably fathom.
When we hit 1.5 miles, that's where I felt it the most.
To me, it's like, oh, they made it.
No, when we hit 1.5 miles, that's when I knew, even with Neil behind us, that's where I thought like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen. So Stacy went to the bathroom. I grabbed my pack and I grabbed my phone, and I noticed I had, it was either 1 or 2% battery left. So just a sliver of battery. So the first thing I did was I opened up my phone, I unlocked it, I went to my settings, I disabled my screen lock. You know, everybody's got a screen lock on their phone.
Yeah.
So I disabled that.
Oh,
And then I was going to take a video. And I made the decision that I was going to take a video, and it was going to be like, it was basically going to be a goodbye video.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I owed it to the people that know us, and because that's how bad it was, and that's how close I think we were.
It had to be. People don't think. You were planning your funeral is what you were doing.
Yeah, 100%. But when I opened up my phone, I unlocked it, I got rid of my password, and then I looked up on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I got fucking cell phone reception. We were 1.5 miles up, or from the top.
Yep.
And I knew I had like, I could either make this video or I can make a call. So
With that 1% you have left.
with that 1%,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh my God.
At this point, Stacy was back from the bathroom. She was sitting next to me, and I looked at her and I'm like, I have reception. Her phone was dead. And I said, should we call Kayla? And instantly, yes, absolutely. So we called Kayla. We FaceTimed her, and she picked up. And she instantly started bawling. As soon as she saw us, I explained to her really, really fast. We don't have much time. But I didn't want to like get cut out.
Yep.
So I explained to her like really, really fast, like, okay, calm down. We're okay. We're 1.5 miles away. We're gonna make it out tonight. Just wanted to call you, let you know we have service, you know. And then we got to talk to Raylyn, our granddaughter, and she was saying Papa and Mimi, and then
She's in great spirits,
yeah,
like usual,
yeah,
right?
yeah, she was. So that call lasted maybe 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
And then hung up the phone, and we kind of like Stacy and I looked at each other, and we were like, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking do this. Like, this is possible."
You needed that.
I don't want to say that's what did it, but
But you were ready to plan your funeral.
yeah, absolutely,
That was a flip.
yeah. Mentally,
You had
that was
nothing.
everything.
Yeah.
So then we left 1.5 miles and working our way back up again at the same pace. We were going an hour at a 1/2 mile.
They do say, you hear things, keeping a consistent pace, steady pace is vital. And that makes sense now, hearing everything that you guys did.
Yep.
That was a key.
Yep. We hit, I think it was because Neil caught up to us. And then from there, he kind of stayed on our backside the whole way up.
Okay. He was feeling it.
Yep.
He was feeling it.
And then we hit the mile marker, and he said there's going to be a tunnel. He said when you hit that tunnel, he goes, and you're not far away. He goes, when you hit that tunnel, that's a mile. And then you're going to hit another tunnel, that's a 1/2 mile. And so we hit that first tunnel, we're like, fuck, we got a mile to go, And then we started seeing people coming down. And people they don't think on these trails. There was one woman that we saw coming down. She was wearing pajama bottoms and flip-flops. And this was at 7 o'clock at night when we saw her. And Neil was right behind us. And Neil was stopping everybody that he saw. And he was basically just wanting to know, like, where are you going? How far down you going? Show me your supplies. This guy was doing his job.
This guy was a real deal.
He was. And this woman passed us in pajama bottoms and flip-flops with no supplies whatsoever. She had no water, no headlamp, nothing. And he asked her, like, where are you going? And she goes, down to the river. And he's like, no, you're not. Like,
you'll never make it to the river.
It's going to be dark in 45 minutes. You have no water.
He had to say this to her.
You're 10 hours away. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 10 hours away.
And she's like, well, maybe I'll just go down a little bit. And he's like, he can't physically stop
I
her.
know, but
so he's just like, okay. And he just, and I even asked him later, I'm like, you're going to be thinking about her all night, are you?
he's going to have to go get her.
Yep. But it's just a lot of people like that, like had no idea. Like,
Yeah, you don't though. I was ignorant, completely ignorant to this.
yeah. I mean, I was too. I mean, I think we all were.
We didn't know what to expect.
No. But we made it to that first tunnel. So we knew we were a mile away. Then we started seeing people, and then more and more people. Then we made it to the second tunnel.
That's the 1/2 mile.
That's the 1/2 mile.
Or were you feeling any better or worse? 1/2 mile, you'd think
Better.
you'd think you're better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once I started seeing people.
Yeah, that's amazing what that does.
Yeah. Once we started seeing people, it was better. When we hit 1/2 mile, that's when we saw a lot of people. There was a lot of people that were coming down from the top, and there was an archway at a 1/2 mile, and it seemed to be like a very popular picture point. A lot of
Okay.
people were taking pictures underneath that arch.
Okay.
He called it a tunnel, but it was nothing more than just like a rock arch over the trail. And there was a ton of people taking pictures by that. And when we walked past, I remember there was this mother, I'm assuming mother, taking pictures of her kids, little kids, underneath this arch. And she had asked if we were the couple that spent the night on the porch, and I was just like, man, like everybody.
You know, I'm hoping this podcast connects to. We did have some people. Somebody commented on the Facebook one that I don't know. They were just there a couple weeks ago. They knew the driver.
Oh,
Chad.
okay, yeah.
So they had Chad. I mean, so this might connect to somebody that saw you on this trail.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason.
I'm
for all
actually
this.
hoping that somehow Neil finds this, because like honest to God, if it wasn't, two things saved us. One, the phone call to Kayla, and Neil.
Okay.
100% Neil, and especially for Stacy, having that figure, a volunteer ranger basically behind us, as like a safety net. And he had a radio and everything to where like if shit went really south, at least he could call for help. And I know like that was huge for me, but more so for her.
Okay.
And then so going back up, we started seeing a ton of people. And then we hit the 1/4 mile mark, and that's where it got like really gradual, and it took like, I want to say like 4 or 5 switchbacks to go that 1/4 mile, because it was gradual and it was pretty easy.
And that's what they promised you, right? Was it the last 1/4 mile?
1/4 mile, yep. That's what Neil had said. Last 1/4 mile was going to be very gradual and easy, and it wasn't necessarily. It wasn't not only physically easier, but mentally too, because that's when we saw a ton of people.
Yeah.
And we could
the energy you get from
and
those
we
people.
could literally see the parking lot.
Okay, you could.
And the lights.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
We got none of that shit.
Yeah, we could see the parking lot and the lights.
Gives you that. I mean, that finish line. There's the finish line. We never got that.
Stacy was like, at this point, she was behind me. So as soon as I saw the parking lot, I stopped and I waited for her to catch up, and then I was like, I looked up, I'm like,
give her the news.
I'm like, we're gonna fucking make it. And
that was the first time.
Yeah.
Is that the first time you had the confidence? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
We are gonna make it.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
That's a 1/4 mile.
Yep. And she started crying, and we kind of we crossed the finish line together, and we both like planted a foot on the parking lot. And when we got on the parking lot, like there was 100 people like right there, and they were all like clapping.
They all knew who you guys were. Everybody was pulling for you.
You made it. You made it. And then of course the questions came.
Okay.
Not necessarily questions about us, but questions about like, hey, they want to, where'd you come from?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you? We're going out tomorrow. Any advice?
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, don't fucking do it. Like,
that's the sad reality, though.
Yeah.
Because why would you want to see someone else go through that?
Right.
How many hours are we talking about here?
That was at almost 8:30. So it was 18
You're
hours.
close to your goal. You had a goal at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
18 hours?
It was 18 hours, start to finish, the second day. It was almost dark when we finished. I think if we were out there like another half an hour, we would have needed headlamps to finish.
So you didn't need the headlamps.
We did not need the headlamps.
Because those were iffy.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah. So yeah, we finished. We got back to the car. We took everything off: shoes, walking sticks, socks, packs. That all stayed in the parking lot. We didn't. We just spent all this money on all this gear, and it's like, I don't give a shit.
You don't want to associate with it.
I don't even want
to.
What
is with that?
I don't even want to look at it.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah. Our sticks, our shoes, our socks, our packs.
Gone.
Yep.
Not near you.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
And Stacy actually commented like there should be like a drop off. Like what I thought about was like when you go to a Tough Mudder, we've done a couple Tough Mudders, and at the end of the Tough Mudder, I always thought that a really cool thing is there's always a pile of shoes. And everybody that completes the Tough Mudder, you take your shoes off them and you throw them in a pile. It's just a pile fucking dirty shoes.
These guys, I just want to fill everybody in. Kevin and Stacy have done a lot of physical feats.
Yeah.
What did you do again at Anytime Fitness on the bikes?
So that was a tribute to my dad. When my dad passed away, something to like absorb the yearly on the anniversary. It was my dad died on, it was a day after Father's Day.
Okay.
So there was always, Father's Day always sucked. That specific day sucked.
Yeah.
So I always told myself I wanted to do something healthy as like an escape.
Okay.
So what I did was he was 66 when he died. So what I did was I told myself I'm gonna go to, this was at Anytime Fitness. They had a spin bike, an old school spin bike, and I told myself I'm gonna bike 1 mile for every year he was born, and then 1 mile for every year I'm alive. And I'm gonna add them together, and that's how far I'm gonna bike. So he was 66, so that's 66 miles, and then however old I am. So at the time I was, let's just say 40.
Okay.
So that's 106 miles, and then every year I added a mile. So that's what I would go there in the morning, hop on the spin bike, and then
100 miles.
yeah, 100 miles on the bike nonstop. I would just keep going. And then we've done 2 Tough Mudders together. So yeah, we've done a lot. Between
Marine Corps, I said that. I just want to hit that again.
Yep.
Someone missed the first part. Marine Corps veterans.
yeah,
Stacy said that she did a 54-mile ruck.
the Crucible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
I mean,
a Crucible Marine.
I don't know that. I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not a Crucible Marine. I entered the Marine Corps before the Crucible started. So like for me, it's like Crucible Marines are.
But I don't get what does that all mean?
You'd have to like I
Crucible?
really don't know. She would be able to explain that a
Okay.
lot better. But we've done a lot. Between the two of us, we have close to 2,000 fire boot camps under our belt. So we've done a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually told Stacy, like, doing the rim to rim to me was the equivalent of doing 500 fire camps in one weekend. That's what because I even tried to think about how many calories did we burn.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's got to be
How do you
close
compare?
to. I mean,
I said 20,000 calories.
I was gonna say 50.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
You had your MyZone on for a while, no? Or
I had my MyZone on.
heart rate monitor system. We're
Yep.
talking.
I had my MyZone on for, I want to say it was like 4 hours. Stacy,
When we started off fun, and then
yeah. Stacy had hers on for like 12 hours.
okay,
She actually forgot she had it on.
I'd like to see those
And
numbers.
then, yeah, when she took it off, later that night when we got to the hotel room, she had an alert on her MyZone that it recorded her workout. And she looked and holy shit, look at this thing.
I got to see that.
Yeah, check it out. It's pretty intense. How long
Yeah,
that
Well, yeah.
was for 12 hours of constant movement. But yeah, it took us 18 hours to get out. So day 1 was
Saturday morning.
16 hours on day 1, I think. And then 18 hours on day 2.
And there's no camping. There's no camping. There was sleeping in a sleeping bag for 2 hours.
Yeah. The after effect was, I mean, obviously we get in the car, turn the AC on,
Yeah. Okay.
searching for a hotel, found a hotel. We're both starving. But I knew the refeed was going to be bad. I knew that.
What do you mean?
Just like I knew it wasn't going to sit well with us.
Oh,
But we had to try to eat
well, it's
something.
like starving people.
Yeah.
You can't hardly eat anything.
So we didn't refeed smart.
Well,
we took what was available,
So did we.
which was fast food. And that was a really horrible decision, but we needed something.
Oh yeah.
So we ate, went back to the hotel room, showered twice, tried to go to sleep. Sleeping was impossible. I couldn't sleep. Everything locked up. Basically my whole lower body, like from the hips down. My quads, I think, were the worst. Quads and calves. Just my legs like
tore
locked
apart.
up straight. Yeah.
We
She
talk
was-
about subclinical injuries. This is almost clinical.
Yeah. Yeah. She had her right leg, the whole side of her right leg was full of prickers. She must have brushed up against a cactus or something.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to go to a gas station and buy tweezers so she
Oh,
could,
God.
so she could pull the prickers out. Her feet were pretty rough. Not as bad as I thought they were going to be.
The feet held up for you guys.
Yeah, which I was shocked because we were not wearing hiking shoes at all. We had hiking sandals that I never wore mine except for when we stopped at Phantom. I put my hiking sandals on just because I wanted to get out of my shoes and let my feet air out. She did hike with her sandals. She thought they were very comfortable, but no ankle support.
Okay.
So she didn't keep them on long. But otherwise, I was wearing a pair of Project Rocks, actually my coaching shoes, from the gym. So now I need to buy a new pair of shoes. Yeah. So I got that going for me.
He likes his shoes.
I got that going for me. And she was wearing.
I think you deserve a pair of shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
And she was wearing a pair of Brooks cross trainers.
Okay.
But our feet I had a couple little blisters on one of my toes, but other than that.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought our feet were going to be fucked, but they were fine.
It wouldn't have happened. I mean, it really wouldn't have happened if the feet didn't work with you.
No. But other than that, physically, I expected worse physically.
You had some mental or emotional stuff too, kind of. I already explained what happened to me, but
that's still. I actually think last night was my worst night.
Oh, geez.
The first night, I think I slept maybe an hour. The second night, an hour or two maybe. I kept seeing, every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing her clinging to that rock and just like shaking. And I couldn't deal with it. I kept seeing Kayla crying.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yep.
Last night.
Why does your mind pull up the bad shit?
I don't know. I have no idea. Last night, it was before I went to bed last night. I was actually looking at Pi's Facebook story. And it was the video of when you guys finished and you were in the parking lot, and you had a look about you, and you were very white.
Yeah.
Your lips were all white. And there's an old movie that I used to watch with my dad called Papillon. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but there's parts of that movie where the people's faces turn like ghostly white. And so last night you were actually in my dreams. I made it. Yeah, I was dreaming of. I had visions of Stacy shaking.
God, you can't get rid of these people.
And then I had visions of Hans with the ghostly white face.
This is nightmare shit, though.
Yeah.
This is not fun dream.
No. So last night was actually the worst night because.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm serious. The mental anguish. I only had it one night. It was awful. I thought I had to go to the ER. I get a tranquilizer. It was that bad. I'm like, I can't live like this.
Yeah.
Falling off a cliff every time my fucking eyes close.
Yeah.
And then, this comes with it. I'm hitting people.
It's real. Stacy, she doesn't talk much about what's bothering her. She holds a lot in.
I know it.
I think it's bothering her. Only because like yesterday, when I had mentioned the podcast to her, like she was like, "Yep, I want to go on," and she was all okay with it. And about 2 hours ago, she had texted me and she says, "I don't think
she don't want to relive it."
I don't think so.
I didn't want to talk about it I didn't even want to speak of it, honestly, even to like these conversations. I didn't want to do that for like the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to, let's not drag it back up.
Yeah. But it's like, it's one of those things though. It's like, there's so many people, especially like in our line of work, because we know hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands of people, and they're all asking the same questions. What happened? How you feeling?
This was a great idea, by the way.
It's you want to have this conversation once.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You tried. Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I just need to do the podcast.
Good. Oh, it's great.
As much as I want to tell people what happened, I don't want to tell 100 people.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell it 100 times.
Yeah, that's true. It's really true.
Because the PTSD of it, the trauma of it is definitely real. Yeah. I definitely think, I don't want to say that we had no business being out there. I think where we went wrong from the get-go was that us trying to keep up. I honestly think like if we just kind of like went on our own pace, it probably still would have taken us 2 days. But maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
Remember the first plan we talked about was couples.
Yep.
Just because if Max and Sheila want to roll, whatever, you're stuck with your couple person.
Yep.
And then we ended up listening to everybody else again.
Yeah.
Saying, and now, of course, I wish that we would have done it differently.
Yeah.
I think
your original plan was to go as couples.
Yeah.
And I think that because like going together, and like we've discussed, like if Max was in the lead, if Max would have slowed down to our pace, then he would have been hurting. Mm-hmm. Us trying to keep up was bad for us. You slowing down would have been bad for you. The decision for you guys to keep going, 100% the right decision. 100%. That because the 6 of us trying to get out the next day with no food.
Well, you feel like so the instinctive decision is usually the right decision, but you never know. Yeah. We've questioned that 100 times. Though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you re-diagnose that.
Yeah.
But the instant decision was easy.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yep. And it was the right one. Right. It's. Do I regret it? No, not at all.
Well, because nobody was hurt.
Because nobody.
Majorly.
Right. Yep. It's weird though because like I want to be proud that like, oh my God, we fucking did the rim to rim, but it's like that hasn't hit into where like I think I can be proud of what we did.
I think we're going to. I think it's going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people are saying great job, like you'd be proud, and that doesn't. I'm not there.
No.
I'm not there. Before we forget, guys, people can find you on Facebook.
Yep.
This is a cool dude to connect with. Instagram, Facebook. What is your actual Facebook handle? Kev
J. Peters.
Kev, Kev J. Peters.
Yep.
Just how it sounds. Kev J. Peters. Find him on Facebook if you find this interesting. Connect. The power of people we're realizing too. People are great energy, and we did meet a lot of neat people that were truly trying to help. I didn't help anybody, and it was a bad feeling because the business we're in that's all we do.
I don't think that's true though. I think the fact that other people were helping you probably helped them too, if that makes any sense.
I hope so.
You know what I mean? No, it's kind of like when you have to have some kind of sense of purpose.
Yeah. And that's why I help people in my career.
Yeah.
I love the big grand scheme of things. of changing people's lives, that makes me feel good.
Yep.
I hope, like Sheila, Pi couldn't move the one time, and I remember her saying this. I'm like, damn it, Hans. It really pissed me off at myself. She could barely walk over to me to give me her tube,
Yeah.
you know, for the electrolytes, because I had him sitting there like a freaking turd. And she could barely walk over to me. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, I hope, you know, she helped a lot. Max helped a ton. Sheila was my main coach, if you will.
Yeah.
I needed everybody. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. But I do think like them helping you helped them.
Okay.
You know, because I feel the same. I feel the same
that.
way about Stacy. Like being forced to play that role on a next level to make sure she got out helped me get out.
I think we're going to see, especially you, with what you did with her. I think the benefits are going to come. I think they're going to trickle in.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a traumatic thing that's going to take some processing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we all get something out of this that really pushes us forward in life.
Yeah.
I do. I think we are. I think we are. I think we will.
Yeah.
So, anything else in closing? No, I appreciate coming. Dude, this guy's good at this. I mean, you really told the story. It's like I didn't know I was getting a podcasting pro here.
I will say that like if you have any ambition to do the rim to rim, to go, go. Do the Grand Canyon, do the rim to rim. It's one of our national parks. It is a gorgeous park.
Yeah, it is.
The last thing I want to do is to scare people away from it.
I know.
Because it's a beautiful park. It's one of our national parks.
It's one of the seven wonders of the world.
Yeah, it's a hell of an experience. Just if you're gonna do it, prepare yourself better than we did. And do your research. And don't just, like, we followed that Facebook page that really only talked about the positive things.
Don't just go off of that.
No. Dig deep and find the negative, because you're going to learn way more from the negative than you will the positive.
100%.
Because, you know, people can tell you, hey, what shoes should I wear? Hey, wear these, or these. But they don't tell you what not to wear.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like, learn from the negative stuff, because like that's what's really going to save your life. And if you're an amateur hiker, do it in 2 days or 3 days. You know,
love that.
I wish would I go back and do it? I would.
Oh my God.
But I would do it in 2 or 3 days. I would plan the camping.
Are you going to do this again? If you're talking this early in it, there's something weird with it though, guys.
No,
there's something weird. With this challenge.
I would love to take a group of friends and do it, but not in one day.
Okay.
You know,
actually enjoy it.
Because if you plan ahead, you know, with your calories and your gear, and you're like, hey, I'm doing this, but in 3 days, it's brutal.
It is.
But it's still like, it's very doable, you know.
It does something to you.
It does. Yeah.
Hard to put a finger on it.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people, like my daughter she's going to be watching this being like, no, you're not.
She's going to kill you.
Yeah.
She'll kill you before you go.
You are not going. She's going to steal my real ID.
That's all you got to do these days. Yeah. That's true.
But if I ever had people are like, man, I'd like to go do that. Like I would seriously think, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, definitely go check it out. It's a beautiful place. The people are friendly. The biggest thing that I learned is the difference between shade and a shadow.
Oh.
Neil, the ranger, taught me, because we were sitting in what I thought was shade. And he goes, you need to get into real shade. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. I don't understand. He goes, well, you're in a shadow. And he had that little thermometer thing.
Yeah.
He pointed at the rocks, and there was like a 26 degree difference between shade and shadow.
Okay.
And he's like, you have to look, the darker the color, is shade.
I wonder how many shadows we're sitting in.
Yeah. And a lot of people think they're getting
Yeah.
shade,
Yeah.
but they're actually just sitting in a
That's
shadow.
an interesting point.
Yeah.
Never heard that in my life.
You have to look for how dark it is.
Yeah, they
because-
say, the third rule, when she gives it to you, take it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's so true. Like if you're doing it, and even if you feel good,
Yeah.
and you come
Yeah.
across just a little bit of shade,
Soak it up.
just sit and just, because he actually said when you're hiking down, every half an hour, you're supposed to take a 10-minute break.
Okay.
It's like, wow, where was that information?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
40 hours ago.
Yeah. I can laugh now.
Yeah.
Then I mean, we're planning a little boat cruise.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon boat tour, which is we're gonna do the Grand Canyon boat tour right here in Portage County
Yeah.
or Waupaca County,
Yeah.
guys.
It's so good to be home.
But we got to get together and just I don't know, close the chapter on that.
Yeah.
And this is huge. Thanks everybody for listening. Find Kev J. Peters, and we do really appreciate you listening. It means a lot. Any questions, he'll take them. I'll take them. Anything we can do to help, that's really what it's about. And we're happy to share the story. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks, brother.
No.